Have you ever wondered why Amelia Earhart decided to become the pilot she was? Amelia was the first woman to fly alone across the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. Amelia Earhart was born on July 24, 1897 in Atchison, Kansas. Her father, Edwin, was a lawyer for the railroads and her mother traveled with him. Amelia and her sister Muriel, otherwise known as Pidge, stayed in the care of their grandparents for most of their childhood. In the biography called Amelia Earhart by Marilyn Rosenthal and Daniel Freeman, Amelia's life and perseverance to fly can be shown through the words and pictures taken of Amelia in the book. Amelia's family moved often because of her father's job. She attended many schools. In school, she enjoyed chemistry, physics, and loved to read and write poems. Amelia graduated from Hyde Park High School in Chicago in 1915. Few girls attended college, but a year after graduating high school, Amelia attended Ogon School near Philadelphia and was the vice president of her class. In 1917, Amelia visited her sister Pidge in Toronto, Canada. She saw wounded soldiers from World War I and decided she wanted to become a nurse in the military. She greatly enjoyed hearing stories from the wounded pilots she had to aid. She attended Columbia University after returning to the U.S. in 1912 to study to be a doctor, and in 1920 she moved to Los Angeles to live with her parents and go to a medical school there. In L.A., Amelia would go watch many air shows and her interest in flying increased greatly, so she quit medical school to pursue becoming a pilot. In 1922, Amelia received her pilot's license and she managed to buy her first airplane with the help of her mother and sister. The first plane she bought was a yellow biplane and she would fly it in her free time. In 1928, Amelia met with George Palmer Putnam, who was arranging a flight across the Atlantic in the plane named Friendship. George asked Amelia to be a passenger in the flight, and on June 17, 1928, the plane took off in Newfoundland, Canada, and landed safely near England 20 hours and 40 minutes later. Amelia liked becoming a part of this history for women in flight, but she wanted to be the pilot of her own flight, not the passenger. On May 20th, 1932, Amelia took her first solo flight from Canada to Ireland in 13 hours across the Atlantic Ocean. In 1935, she took off from Hawaii and landed in Oakland, California to be the first woman to fly across the Pacific Ocean. Amelia also gave many speeches with Eleanor Roosevelt about women's rights. After receiving a counselor job at Purdue University, Amelia started planning her flight around the world. Purdue helped pay for an airplane that could fly 4,500 miles without refueling. On June 1, 1937, Amelia and her navigator Fred Noonan took off from Miami, Florida to start her flight around the equator. Their last stop was at Howland Island, 2,500 miles northeast of New Guinea. To find out what happens to Amelia, Fred, and her plane on that flight around the world, read the biography Amelia Earhart by Marilyn Rosenthal and Daniel Freeman.